There you go. So we have quite a full agenda here. So we're gonna talk a little bit about, what is AI and what can it do? And then Tyler's gonna walk us through a couple of the actual examples for people that are maybe not super familiar with AI yet. Like what does it actually look like to talk to AI? And like what can you expect from some of the results that you're getting out of it? So how will affect your business? A lot of people are, I think, interested about that, right? Because there will be some changes. We do believe that this will affect you in some shape or form, depending a little bit on your industry you're in as well. Some industries are probably going to be earlier affected than others, but we can talk about it a little bit. And yeah, then Tyler's going to show us some real world examples that he has prepared. And, also we're going to talk about limitations. Like there's a lot of hype, there's a lot of noise, I think, around the topic. So it can do everything. And so we shouldn't really have to be too worried about that necessarily. And then we want to give you some actionable steps that you can take away and actually apply to your own business right away. So if that all makes sense, I will introduce you to our very own Tyler Pearson.
Hi, everybody.
Next slide, please. So Tyler will talk to us about, he's part of our team. He's a content creator, but he also is kind of, I call him the AI champion, because us as a marketing agency, we know we have to really pay close attention to AI for our own business and how we do our work. And then what I said earlier on, also we want to be aware of how this affects our clients and what role we can play in helping you through some of these adjustments. So anyway, Tyler, I'll give it to you. And yeah, what is AI really in a nutshell?
Thank you, Peter. And hi, everyone. I just want to say thanks for the opportunity to share some info with you today. We're really excited to maybe teach you a few things that could help your businesses right away, and we look forward to providing more content in this topic in the future. Artificial intelligence, it's really exciting. I'm a child of the 90s, and we had images of the future back then with sparkling skyscrapers and flying cars and things like that. But I think it's safe to say, despite the fact that some of those things haven't come true, we can pretty safely say the future is here. We have machines that can learn from us, and pretty soon they'll be able to teach themselves. It's pretty amazing. So to sum it up, where we're at right now is artificial intelligence works for us as a program that can learn from data and examples. And this means that it can look at the internet, it can look at library resources, databases, any set of information we give it. And from that, it can start to find patterns and make predictions based on that information. And some of its suggestions are pretty helpful, we're finding out. They're changing the world already. AI helps automate tasks that usually require human thinking. Now, we've moved away. I don't know if anyone remembers Microsoft. They had the little paperclip in Microsoft Word that you could ask questions, and very rarely did it give you the right answer. Well, now we're starting to get the right answers, and it's pretty exciting. Today, we're going to be mostly working in ChatGPT. That's kind of the Coca-Cola of AI. And it's just one example of an AI product. But to keep things simple and to not overwhelm you, I think the best thing we can do is just stick with ChatGPT.
Yeah, so just to add to that, like, so again, one of the questions that you folks asked us is like, what is the best tool? Like, and maybe Tyler, you'll be talking about it in a little later. But the thing is, the best tool is the tool you actually use, right? Like technology is only it's going to help you do your job better, and there's slight differences between the different platforms. There's like 4 or 5, bit large companies, including Google, Microsoft, Meta, and some of those companies, they're vying for your business, right? They all have their own take on AI. So, for illustration purposes, we're going to stick with ChatGPT, which we feel is has a very well advanced product right now, and so we're gonna, you can get a free account with them and actually try out some of these things. Now, one question that came up here, Tyler, is like AI has been around for a while, right? Like, why is it so popular right now? Why does everybody talk about it right now?
Well, yeah, you're right. Machine learning has been around since, I believe, the 80s. And it's only since 2022, November 2022, that we've had ChatGPT. And the reason it is kind of taking the world by storm is really just the effectiveness of the answers it provides and the wide variety of tasks that it can help human beings with. And in particular, I don't think it would have caught on and created such hype if it wasn't particularly helpful for businesses. There's a
Hmm.
real financial incentive for business owners.
Hmm.
Uh, and I think that that's part of where the hype comes from, is that it's increasing productivity already.
Yeah. Yeah, and you don't have to be programmed to interact with AI. I think that's the biggest difference that happened, right? You can actually ask it questions and it does the work for you. So, okay, thanks for clarifying that.
Absolutely. So I guess, the best place to start as business owners, how's it going to affect my business? And one of the things that I try to separate is business owners and employees. Yeah, I think it's going to affect business owners and employees differently. But where there will be uh, an effect across the board is that everyday tasks are going to take up less time. So as a business owner for you, that means your tasks, high-level tasks, managerial tasks, those are going to get a big boost from AI. But it's also going to be a boost for your employees. In some cases, it could replace employees. And this is one of the big fears that's out there for workers and for business owners. It's as much as a productivity increase is great, the notion of having to let people go isn't always an easy one. So that's a consideration. If tasks take less time, there may be hour reductions, or there may be new opportunities for putting those people who were working on a specific task most often. Well, now that they've got more room, more headroom. So um, that's one consideration. Also, you're not going to be solving big problems alone. And now this is a business owner specific sort of concept. And I think it's maybe one of the most important ones, because solving tasks is great. But as a business owner, and I've ran some small businesses myself in the past, just little ones, but enough to give me an idea that uh, you're very alone as a business owner. You've got a lot of problems that you're dealing with, and there's not always someone whose shoulder you can lean on to get answers. And you're not going to be solving a lot of those problems alone anymore, because you're going to have help in a way you didn't. And it's going to help free up time for you to be more organized, more creative. Organized is one that we can wrap our heads around, because as business owners, you have to be organized. But creativity is something that, some people are creative, some people aren't, and some people don't think of themselves as creative. But, if you take needing to know how to draw or paint out of the equation, you take learning an instrument out of the equation, and just the ability to have ideas. I mean, if you had your initial idea of starting a business, so if you can have one idea, you can have more, and now this is going to unlock the potential to achieve some of those. The only kicker is that your competitors are all getting these advantages at the same time. Um, you're ahead by attending this meeting, so that's great. But it will be available afterwards. So let's hope that you get the jump on it. But I think we can like point our attention to the graphic there. Like, AI is not going to replace you. It's people using AI and using it effectively. So that's something that you have to watch out for, and something that you can take the lead on. AI is very simple. This is the thing that, we're trying to get across with the webinar today. Uh, don't be intimidated by this little graph or this little graphic I made here. We really need to simplify it. We don't need to be coders. We don't need to be programmers. We don't even need to like learn a new app really. If you've ever chatted, if you've ever sent a text message, that's essentially how complicated using AI is, at least for your basic tasks. You come up with a task you need done, you think of an idea, or you think of a question you have that you can't find the answer to. You type it in, and AI thinks about it, and it gives you a response. Now, sometimes the response it gives you is enough. That your first draft or first response will be enough for you to go, okay, I can keep moving. But what's really nice about AI is that because it's intelligent, you can tweak the answer. If it got the answer wrong, or if you need a little more information, you can refine and you can say, I need a little help in this area that you missed. Well, AI is happy to continue iterating that process so that you end up with the answer you're looking for. And that's kind of a new paradigm for a lot of people because they're used to, if I don't get the right answer, goodbye. Well, this is a great machine because you can keep working with it until you get the right answer. Another way we can think of AI is like a new team member. It's not so much just an app or a program that you're using. This is a new sort of partner in your life that's as easy as, sign up and get a subscription and start using it and it's already active for you. It's a super assistant. It doesn't need breaks. It doesn't drink all the coffee. It just needs clear instructions. And we're going to go into how to give it clear instructions. Um, and like any employee, it has limitations. It's only as good as the questions you ask. And I think that as business owners, you can probably identify with that, where if you bring a frightened intern into your office and say, increase our sales by 20%, get out of here. You're going to get one kind of output. Whereas if you sit down and have a talk and present the challenges your business is facing and where you've got hurdles and establish your goals, not just 20% in sales. How are we going to get there? If you spell that out for AI, it's going to give you great responses. And you just need to work with it to get there. So if there are no questions yet, we can hop into ChatGPT and take a look at this. So here we are in ChatGPT. It's got a pretty simple interface for those who haven't used it yet. You've got all of your conversations over on the left, and we're in a project right now, but you can just start a new chat if you want to. And
Hey, Tyler,
yeah,
sorry to interrupt you here, but like if participants don't mind in the chat bot, so like if you have used something like this in the past, put a 1 in the chat bot, and if this is completely new to you, put a 0 in there. Continue on.
absolutely. Yeah. Okay, great. So we'll go, yeah, we'll just keep going here. So just to demonstrate kind of how simple this really is and how quick you can get started, let's just come up with some questions that are business related and see what the chat gives us here. So I'll say, give me 5 blog ideas for an auction house. So in a couple of seconds, we've got 5 blog post ideas for the owner of an auction house. So how to get the best price at auction, tips for sellers, what really happens on auction day. All of these ideas are pretty decent. We gave chat very little information, and we've got some ideas that get our head thinking and maybe spur on some creativity. So this is where just asking the right question can sort of supercharge your creativity. Let's try another one. So how can I promote my landscaping business? So this is a real general question. And one of the things that might be coming up in your head as you see this is like, well, how does it know this information? So if you remember at the beginning of the presentation, we talked about how it analyzes data. And so what ChatGPT is doing is it's looking across the internet at landscaping companies. It's looking at blogs about landscaping. It's looking at industry leader thoughts. It's looking all over the place. And that's where this information is coming from. And so now it's giving us some real actionable if we want to build a strong local presence, we need to curate our Google business profile. So that's when you type in your business's name into Google, what pops up there. It's telling you to make sure you have that in order. And that's good advice. Making sure you're in local directories. Like all of these are pretty great base level ideas. And all we had to do was ask a, a what, seven word question, right? And we're off and running. The last one we'll do something a little more advanced. We'll say, write a reminder email for unpaid invoices for my mechanic shop. So we've got a subject line, we've got our greeting, and we've got a nice little email. And we can go in, we can copy and paste this and go in there and fill in the right information. And so for anyone who's spends most of their days writing emails, and business owners write a lot of them, think of how much time you would save as a mechanic, the owner of a mechanic shop, if you could just automate these like this, right? So we've got some practical uses right away. And that's a quick demonstration of how it works. But now we can sort of let some of our attendees take the reins here. For those who received the email, there was a guide we sent with a prompt in it, and we asked you to bring one business challenge you deal with regularly. So for those who want to participate, now's the time. If you've got ChatGPT in a tab or in an app on your phone, now if you want to pump that prompt in, or maybe you did it before you came to the meeting, and I'm just going to skip forward. We've got it here, and I've asked Caitlin to post it in the chat for you. So we'll just take a sec and let everybody try to type that in. And yeah, raise a hand if you have an answer that surprises you or is particularly helpful. And I think maybe we could take a second if anybody has any questions or...
Yeah, for the people that are new to something like this is basically chat and the other engines just basically run in as a website. So just you can use your browser. There's no need to download any software. So it's really accessible.
Yeah,
So anybody getting any results? Anybody is taking the challenge? You can definitely do this later on as well. If you want to just experiment with this, you can experiment with the prompt as well. If it doesn't give you the results that you're looking for, you just have to maybe rephrase your question. Anybody wants to share or
no warning for anybody. If it's telling you to drop everything and buy a llama farm in Saskatchewan, we can't be held responsible. Sometimes the results are unpredictable. But yeah, we're excited to hear if it helps anyone out.
okay. While some people play around with it, maybe just continue on.
Yeah,
And
we'll continue on.
if there's any results that anybody wants to share, or any questions so far, let's just take a little temperature of the room for a minute and pause for a few seconds here. So far, what Tyler has talked about, does it make sense? Give us a one maybe in the chat bot, or ask a question about any particular topic that's top of mind right now. We can just jump in right away.
One question is, could be personal or applied to business. Can you plan trips with AI?
It's a great question. Yes and no, I think is my tentative answer. I think you can definitely use it to plan your itinerary, to research where you're going to be staying, things like that. It will also help you decide which apps you want to use. If you like to use things like Expedia, TripAdvisor, those different apps. So it's definitely a great way to organize your trip, and it can help you find interesting places to see when you're on your trips. There's really no limit on your preparation. I just Chat GPT itself is not going to book your trip for you. That's the only caveat.
Let's continue on, Tyler.
Great. Okay. So as we saw in the last slide, sorry, I'll go back and we'll look at it. We asked you to put in this prompt. So you're the owner at this business. Please look at our website, get a sense of what we do. And you're giving it instructions and context. And so let's kind of go into a little bit about how that works. Because once you learn how that works and you do it a few times, it's very intuitive. It's not difficult at all. Um, as you saw when I asked the three questions, I mainly stuck to the task component of a prompt. Can you please provide me with a list of things I can fix and make my life easier? And as you saw, we got an answer. That's ChatGPT's job, is to answer the question. So it will give you a big answer for almost anything you ask it. But to get higher quality, we want to move outside of the red box and start to think about context. So for a general problem, we can tell it a little bit about ourselves. I'm an employee at Edge Marketing. What's my problem? Well, one of the obstacles I deal with is responding to client emails. I do it several times a day, and it just takes up time. And so please look us up to get a sense of what we do. The reason I put that in there is this way it knows what my job is and the kinds of clients I'm dealing with and what my business is. It's very good at, doing a lot of digging with very little. So I've given it some context, and this increases the quality of the response I'm going to get. Another way we can look at it is with specific tasks. So the task that I need it to do is to look at the last 3 months of spreadsheet files and figure out what went wrong. I've got something going on in there that's just confusing. But it's not really going to know what it's looking for with only that information. So what I can add is, well, I can't figure out why my shampoo inventory doesn't match my shipping orders. Well, now it's only going to look at shampoo transactions. My pharmacy is having inventory problems. Well, now it knows the name, it knows that we're a pharmacy, and that just gives it some additional context. But another thing we can do is we can say, you're an expert at looking at spreadsheets. And that sounds kind of funny, but what we're doing is we're assigning it a job. We're helping flesh out its role. And that means it's not going to be looking at the spreadsheets in a general sense. It's going to be looking at them as an expert on inventory and spreadsheets. And so that helps focus what it's looking for. So when you're building your prompts, if you can move outside of that red box and start thinking of how can I give it more information, just like when you sat down with that employee and gave them more information on how to reach the goal. So if there are any questions about prompts, we can take them now. Otherwise, I'll show you a few more cool things that we can do. So this is by no means exhaustive. This isn't the only stuff ChatGPT can do in addition to responding, but here are a few fun things that we can add that are related to businesses. So the first thing we'll do is we will try to summarize. So what I've done is I've created a mock meeting. So for anybody who has meetings at work and you have a secretary or somebody jotting things down, I created a fake set of meeting notes that includes all of the different things that were spoken about. So slide count, client review, click-through rates, all of this different information that if I were to hand this off to another employee, they wouldn't really know what they were looking at. So what I can do is I can select it all, and I can say, please look at these meeting notes and give me a summary. And then just paste in the meeting notes. It doesn't matter that they look out of order. ChatGPT is really good at sifting through that. And now we get a concise summary of that meeting. So certain clients, don't worry, this is all fake information, but certain clients, it will identify what the important points were and cut out all of the noise. So this isn't just for meetings, it's for any kind of document where let's say you sit down and you have a free association writing. You're coming up with ideas and you just write whatever comes to your mind. Well, you take that big blurb and you pop it in here and you ask it to summarize, and it'll summarize that for you. So it's a really powerful, cool thing you can do. So if we go back and we think, okay, now we've summarized that meeting, I want to organize. I want to take all of our click-through figures and put it together into a spreadsheet. So what we'll do is we're already in the conversation. It already has all the data. I can say, please create a spreadsheet summarizing our CTR in the meeting. And it's okay. You can have spelling errors, and it usually can sift through them. It's not too hung up on grammar. So instead of waiting for the response here, I've just prepared it to save us some time. This is ChatGPT's output from this meeting. So if you look here, it filtered through all that other information and it built this table for me. And all I had to do is ask. So we've gone from a bunch of messy notes to a summary to a spreadsheet in under 2 or 3 minutes. And you won't be talking to anybody in a presentation, so it could be 1 minute once you get familiar with it. So it's pretty amazing. And now we will just, yeah, we'll just finish up here with let's generate a response based on this information. We'll take it a step further. I want to take that spreadsheet and I want to email it forward to the accountant who wasn't present. So please draft an email to Rebecca, the accountant, covering key metrics pertinent to her job. So you can really talk to it like it's a person. You don't have to worry about syntax and things like that. And now as we see, it's looking through the data and it's providing the information that's pertinent to somebody who would be an accountant at the meeting, and gives her all the information she needs in an email for you to send away. So we've done this in 5 minutes. We've gone from meeting notes to updating Rebecca and moving forward. Pretty cool. And now that we've seen how cool it is, we can kind of talk about where it has limitations. It does look like magic, but it's really a tool. It took me a little while to kind of think up, well, what could it do? How could we go from meeting notes to an email? Or even to have the idea of, you know what, I should put my meeting notes in there and maybe that will summarize it quicker for me. I had to have that idea for AI to do it, right? So it isn't magic. It requires my judgment to come up with these ideas of ways to make it help me. And that's really all that's the essence of what we're asking you to do here today. When you think about your business, is identify your problems, identify things you're spending time on, and then take that first step of identifying. As you saw, we worked with some figures in that meeting. So those click-through rates for somebody like an accountant or maybe lawyers, where you have legally sensitive information that you're trying to work with. It's important to remember that AI still needs fact checking, whereas your calculator is very good with numbers because of AI's power, because of the nature of machine learning. I was interested to learn this back in the 2010s, actually, when I was studying it in college. AI isn't good at numbers, and it's taken a lot of work by companies to get it to be good with numbers and coding and accuracy and things like that. So it's just very important that you remember to go back and look at the numbers. Take a second to just cross-reference them. It feels like work, but when you compare it to the time you're saving, it's just a new step in your process. I'm just going to need to fact check, and in exchange, I get to save all this time. And then the other thing, as we mentioned, it needs context to get the tone right. So if you're sending an email from yourself, you might want to give it examples of emails you've already written. You might want to have it scan your communications and just get a sense of how you sound when you talk. And then it's going to do a much better job of emulating you. The other thing is it can't replace personal relationships. As much as we like to think AI will automate every aspect of our business and we're just going to sell our products and not have to think about it or lift a finger, personal relationships are always going to be important. You're going to want to remember things about your clients. You're going to want to have meetings with them, phone calls. It can't replace that. And we should hope it never does. AI also doesn't know your industry nuances unless you train it. And so the notion of training is a little scary, but we've already done it in the presentation here today. By giving AI context, you've trained it. You've told it, I'm a marketer. That's what I do. Well, now it remembers that. It's just like talking to a person. It just has a way better memory than a person. So just, yeah, take some time and talk to it about your business. And what's really cool is how often in your life do you actually sit down in your busy small business owner life, do you sit down and think of your business at that high level? This gives you a chance to actually maybe revisit those initial ideas you had when you started your business. So it's a good exercise either way. AI generated content is not a stand-in for a well-planned strategy, and this is really key, because as cool as it is to pump meeting notes into AI and get a summary, what if you have it standardized so every meeting you do that, right? That's creating a system in your workflow so that you're continually doing this. And this way you'll be able to see further productivity increases and you'll actually be able to track it. So strategy is something you want to consider. And this fact is, take it with a grain of salt. It's actually from an AI company. They conducted this study, but they've determined that most of the businesses using AI haven't really seen a return on their investment yet, because it's one thing to sign up and ask it a question, to get your employees to use it and to develop a system where you are mapping that productivity. I mean, it's such a new technology that a lot of people just aren't there yet. So don't be afraid it's taking your business or going to upend your industry, because most people still don't know how to use it. Yeah. And so let's move forward with where you can start without adding too much to your workload. You don't need a dozen apps. We've done a lot of cool stuff on ChatGPT in a short time. You can start with just one task, something you repeat every week, whether it's emails, look over this week's sales for me. It's all about identifying something that you find annoying, that you're sick of doing, and that feels menial. Turn it into a question, ask ChatGPT, and start seeing if you can put those answers to work. I spend too much time writing social media posts. Can you help me fix this? You can show it some of the posts. You can train it on what your problem is, and hopefully it'll start moving you in the direction of getting to spend more of your time on the things you enjoy in your business and less of the tedious stuff. And another tip I can just give is to be organized with your conversations and responses. I'll just kind of go out here real quick and we'll look on the side, but every time you start a new conversation, it shows up on the sidebar here. If you are working in a whole bunch of conversations and your information is scattered all over the place, some AI products won't be able to remember what you were talking about. So it's just important to save, to keep conversations focused, and to maybe once in a while you'll save your results and save them in a Word document, and that way you've got it somewhere you'll remember. Being organized really helps. And we're finding that it's sort of supercharging our operations to be organized with these conversations. And so now taking the next step, developing an AI strategy. The main thing is turning practice into progress. The more you familiarize yourself, the more tasks you automate and realize that it's working for you and your business needs. Now you're going to want to start tracking that and building a system around it. Identifying more areas of your business operations you can optimize, coming up with tasks that employees have that you can train them on, implement as part of their workflow, and then see those productivity gains from your employees as well. And yeah.
So Tyler, I just had a quick question in the chat.
Sure.
Recently they had read, don't let your business get lost on ChatGPT. It doesn't have ads, at least that they know of. So what does that mean?
Yeah, I can speak to that maybe. So thanks for the question. So yeah, we like in our situation, we do a lot of work with our clients on being found online, right? Like the fancy word for it is search engine optimization. But what we have found recently, and this is developing really quickly, that more and more people actually are starting to use ChatGPT or another AI bot to actually find information. So, I think that's kind of I hope that's kind of the nature of your question. So, you are correct that there's no advertising model like Google Ads, for example, yet for AI. But I'm pretty certain that they will come up with something like that. Because one of the questions I would ask in advance was like, what is there a cost involved in using all of these tools? And the answer is yes, of course, because there is the companies that are bringing out these tools, they're spending billions of dollars of investors' money into this, so they need to see a return. But I suspect that we're already seeing the cost of AI go down. And let's face it, like a pro subscription to ChatGPT is like $25 a month. It's not a huge amount, but I can see a situation where just like Google is free, that the chat is going to cost less, and it's actually may be even for a large extent for a lot of people in this room, the free version is probably all you need for now. And then if you really start using it and you wanna have some more features, then yeah, by all means, take out a subscription. But it is an area that we're working on as far as trying to, our whole industry is trying to figure this out, right? So not sure if that was the nature of your question, but that was kind of my response. So we may as well get into some of the other questions as well, Katie. Just if as people type in questions in the chat bot or open up your microphone and just ask the question, we don't mind that either. But we did have some questions that were sent in advance, so we would love to tackle a few of them, and then the rest will probably be sent out to you with the replay of the webinar.
So we can kick it off with one of the questions that came in about, as Peter mentioned, feel free to leave your questions in the chat, or you can also unmute to ask your question here. So one question that we had is, how can AI be implemented to combat staffing shortages?
Yeah, well, that's a really good question, right? And I think it's on a lot of people's minds. So what's going to happen with my staff? What's going to happen with me as a business owner? And I think it is a big unknown, and I think really it really depends on your industry and what kind of work you do. As a let's look at it from an employee point of view. if you are a tradesperson installing HVAC systems, I don't think AI will replace you anytime soon. In the physical world, it's still a thing, so things just need to be done. But if you are an employee and you're working in, we have an accountant or maybe a few accountants on this call, and you're working mainly with information that is fairly repetitive, right? Like then it's actually a lot. For example, like a tax return, right? Jared, I'm going to pick on you a little bit. Hope you don't mind. Filling in a tax return is a lot of repetitive. Like it's a certain skill set for sure, but somebody needs to do it. But AI, I think, can really do a great job of automating and improving those processes. Whereas there's going to be a situation that the same number of employees probably can do more work. So that's kind of the way I look at it. Tyler, do you have anything else?
Yeah,
Or
I think that there are some really amazing, like, I think what it's going to be is that the business owner may have to get involved where the employee used to be. If you have staffing shortages, um, and you have an area where you need the tasks to get done no matter what, there may be a small amount of refreshing yourself on what that employee does, developing a system that automates the tasks they did, and then putting in a small amount of work to get a large amount of results, either until you find the person you were looking for, or maybe it just altogether replaces it, and you can outsource that work to another employee.
Okay. So a question that came in through the chat is Linda makes several social media posts. Can you copy and paste these ChatGPT generated posts in the elevated format? Sometimes the formatting doesn't translate over from ChatGPT into the platform.
Yeah, so there's different ways of entering that information in the chat window. The best way probably if you want to kind of follow the same format and leave the graphics in place to actually attach those files to the chat. So that's a little trick that will help you get better result. So we can work with you on that, Linda, if you like. In the next stage of this presentation, we can actually get our hands into some of these things. So thanks for the question. Anything else from the pre-planned questions? Or anybody has a burning question? We received quite a few questions, so we will not be able to get to all of them. So if you have a burning question that you send in, by all means, maybe put it in the chat bot so we can actually answer it in this call.
So a question that we received earlier is how can AI be used for research, in particularly in a legal setting?
Okay. Yeah, so I think the legal industries is one of those industries that I think are going to be affected by this. However, there is also been some instances that case information was presented actually in court that didn't exist. So AI actually occasionally hallucinates is the official term. So actually comes up with things that are not there. So that's definitely a really big red flag that you need to watch out for. But as far as simple legal documents or like contracts, like reviewing the work that you've already done, there's some of these things with the right processes, it will get you to like 80 or 90% where it should be. And then if you are a legal professional, then you actually can focus on the big picture, on the most important things of these contracts instead of spending too much time drafting and going into the nitty-gritty of the first draft. So I can definitely see some challenges for the legal industry, opportunities at the same time. If you are as a legal professional are one of the first ones to jump on this, I think you're going to have the advantage that you learn what works and what doesn't work instead of ignoring it. And that's in general for the whole presentation here. Like this is not going away. Some of you may wish it would go away, but it will not. It's a big step forward. So we as business owners in whatever industry we are in, just we need to deal with that. So hopefully that answers your question. Let's take
If I
the
could
next
just
one,
add to
Katie.
that, I think in a legal context and for people, business owners who are wondering about legality, um, it's when you're working with free versions of these apps, the legality and the privacy is not non-existent. All of your data is they're learning from that data. So it is important to remember not to share anything with ChatGPT that you wouldn't share in the open elsewhere, because those legal protections don't exist on the free accounts. For people like lawyers, they'll probably have a careful look at the legal settings or legal guidelines for the different apps. But usually, once you get a paid version, you get increased legal protections. But that's probably something to incorporate into your strategy if you're going to be making it a regular part of your workflow, is having a real good hard look at the legality and the privacy guidelines.
Yeah, that's a good point. And also, like I think, like a lot of large companies are actually, trying to figure this out. And I think one of the solutions they have is to be really clamping down on which AI engine their employees are able to use. My son works for Graham Construction, large construction company. They're only allowed to use Copilot from Microsoft, and one of the reasons for that is they can control the documents that are being uploaded. There's privacy, there's security issues that are being addressed. So I think even if you're a smaller company with like 5 or 10 people, you need to come up with a policy, I believe, to what the best solutions are for you, and then also keep your employees accountable because again, there's at least 15 or 20 choices, and everybody has their preference, right? Chevy versus Ford. But I think as a business owner, you may have to just really set strict guidelines of what they can use and how they can use it, and how what the process is also for human review as well. So nothing goes out without a human review afterwards. And that's not only for the accounting or the legal profession. It's even for the question for social media posts. Like we've seen social media posts, AI generated, obviously AI generated social media posts with some of the additional instructions still attached to it, right? So don't do that because it's definitely it kind of reflects negatively on your brand. Katie, do you have any other questions?
It seems a lot of the questions were answered throughout the presentation that we received, which is great. Tyler, great job on the presentation.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
one of the questions that came in was like, how can I use AI to promote my business? And let's face it, we are a marketing firm, so we help our clients with that. So our answer to that is like one of the things you can do with the AI to get more business and to actually develop your market is do more market research. It's amazing what you can do, research on your industry, research on your competitors, even research on some of your major clients. Like if you work with large corporate clients, for example, the research you can do before you get on that phone or on that email is tremendous. So that's a really good use case, I think, for growing your business. Other things that we've seen is AI assisted chat on websites. You see that on a lot of different websites nowadays, and it used to be like a human being would just actually reply to these inquiries. Now, in most cases, you're limited to your hours of operation, right? Like at 11 o'clock on a Friday night, you may not have anybody um, in the office to answer that inquiry. But with AI, we've worked with a few clients now on setting it up with AI, and it's unbelievable. I honestly am blown away by it because I was skeptical at first because we all have bad experiences with those chats that just don't want to do what you wanted to do. But with the latest versions of the AI models, it's honestly it is like chatting with a person. And of course, people know that it's AI generated, and I would highly recommend actually making people aware of it. And I think in the next 3 to 6 months, people will just totally accept that this is an AI assistant. Because let's face it, the AI assistant is probably better equipped to answer the question than any human being. So those are some quick wins that you can actually implement relatively quickly and actually start using the AI technology to to interact with your clients and get more leads.
Jared, you had a question you wanted to share?
Yeah, I do. Thanks. So like kind of Peter touched on before, there is a lot of repetition that goes into the accounting and tax world, but there's also a lot of non-standardized work that we do. So I guess in respect to, AI, we use it for a number of things, some of which being, advertising, creating draft emails to, remind clients of payments, things of that nature. It's been hugely helpful there. I think what I would like some further information on is while the tax returns, financial statements, things of this nature that we produce for clients, and which turns into a large portion of the deliverables that we produce for clients is very standardized. The information that we get in from clients is anything but standardized. We have information that comes in all different sources, different ledgers, different accounting programs, et cetera, et cetera. As a result of that, it takes a lot of time to train junior staff, to get them acquainted with these programs. And based on just the general trends in staffing in the accounting profession these days, it is becoming harder and harder to find staff. So is there a way to use a open AI program of some kind to receive this non-standardized information, get it into some sort of format that can then be put into the programs that we use to generate some of these standardized reports and assist these junior staff in the completion of their job, so they're not so reliant upon maybe their judgment on things, but getting things a little bit more standardized for them to kind of work off of a process as opposed to winging it on some of this stuff.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that's an excellent use case of AI. I've done some experimenting with that. Like you can have all kinds of Tyler just showed the prompting. We're actually talking to the AI bot, and then there's a response. In most cases, especially in the paid versions, you can upload the documents. So if you have you have a CSV file, a PDF file, maybe there's a scan that is like an image, you can actually upload that. Chat is really good at reading that information, and if you give it proper instructions, they will be able to put that into a summary document or even in a spreadsheet. Honestly, like I think you should really lean into that, because that could be a huge time saver. And then your staff can actually focus on more, maybe on the higher level tasks, right? So they actually hit the ground running instead of having spent a couple hours on sorting through the information. They can actually put it together. So yeah, that's definitely not far-fetched. It's just a matter of building the procedures and the process that actually comes with it. And we haven't really talked about it, but AI agents are kind of the next thing, right? So an agent is actually an AI machine that actually can do some of this work and actually can click on websites, can fill in forms, can upload documents, right? So if you think about your whole work process, you can actually, for the large part, you can automate this, especially if it's a very repetitive job, right? So hopefully that helps a little bit, but I think you have a really good opportunity there, I think, to set yourself apart. And I know how hard it's been for you to find stuff, right? And we're all in the same situation. So that may be really appealing for you. And then also for the people you do hire, you make their job easier as well, right? Like, so they don't have to struggle through these things that they are not that familiar with. Anybody else? So again, like we're going to stay on here for the people that want to experiment a little bit more. So Tyler, you have a few things prepared for that. So, but I also want to respect everybody else that may have to go back to work or do something else or may have lunch maybe. Yeah, like by all means, reach out to us directly if you have any questions about AI. Again, we specialize on marketing, how AI is used in marketing, but it doesn't mean that we cannot talk to you about other applications because we really feel like we're in a really good position to actually guide some of our clients through the general use of AI. So again, thanks everybody. Thanks Tyler for your work and Katie.
Yeah, thank you everyone for attending, and for those who plan on sticking around, we'll get into a few more fun things we can do here. So we talked about teaching AI about your business. And again, it's as simple as sitting down with somebody across the table and teaching them, telling them the information they need to know. You can ask it to look at your website if you have a good website. So for all Edge clients, rest easy. You can get all the information you need. Just type in the URL to your website and ask it to give you an output. One of the things you might want to do is type in the URL of your website and say, please look up my top competitors and tell me how our business is differentiated. And check the quality of the answer it gives you. As you're training, as I mentioned earlier, if you're in the free version of ChatGPT, it's best to keep all of the info in one conversation. But one of the cool things you can do if you're paying is use project folders and organize that information. So if you want to do, as Peter mentioned, deep research on one of your competitors, you can create a folder about that competitor and keep all of your research and comparing and documentation in one place. And that's something very cool you can do. We're just going to go through a few things here before we get into some tips. How to build a workflow. So picking a real task from your business, like a customer reply, a post idea, an appointment reminder, and then breaking it into steps, as we did before. Summarize, then draft, then edit. So what you can do is you can write a prompt for each step. And then if maybe you want to save that into a Word document. So for emails, you can create a Word document that says ChatGPT email procedure, and you have all the prompts ready so that you can just copy and paste them every single time you need to do an email. So that's something to think about, is starting to build workflows pertinent to your business. And again, if you do decide to take the leap and start paying for ChatGPT, you can actually organize that stuff right on the app, which is nice. So now we will get into just a few things we can do to sort of supercharge. So for anybody on ChatGPT right now, let's try to do a screenshot here. So you might want to write this down for future use if you haven't used screenshots before. But hopefully everyone's on Microsoft computers. I believe that the macro for Apple is similar. But all you need to do is press your window button, your shift button, and S, and you can now drag your mouse across your screen and create a screenshot. And then what you can do is you can pop that into the chat, and I'll demonstrate here. And you can ask it a question. What's really amazing about ChatGPT in particular is that it is able to look at pictures and analyze them. So if you have a graphic that you're working on, doing some graphic design, you can pop it into ChatGPT and say, how can I make this look more professional? Or you can look at a picture that you found on Google of a place that looks particularly beautiful, and you can pop that picture in and you can say, where on earth is this? And it will try to figure it out for you. So for an example, a little more business related, if I go to this table here and I take a screenshot of this table, I can now paste it into the chat. So there's a screenshot that I'm working with. I didn't copy and paste the text. I didn't drag in a file. I just gave it a picture of what I'm looking at. Really think of the implications of how convenient that is to be able to just give it the visual of whatever you're working on and say, please tell me what I can do to get higher click-through rate next quarter. And so what it's now doing is it's looking at this picture as though it were a document, and it's giving you a real answer. So I'm amazed at how often I use this in my work, grabbing a screenshot, popping it in, and just getting a quick answer. It can take a look at anything you're working on. So that's something, maybe just while we're on this slide, try to take a screenshot, pop it in, and ask it a question. And if everybody's been able to try that out, let's do another exercise, and we'll work on tone, changing our tone. So we'll just pop this in the chat here. Now, what we can try to do to get familiarized with having ChatGPT sort of tweak our outputs. Let's go into ChatGPT and copy and paste that. And let's each of us try to change this around to maybe suit our business, or just have fun with it and give it a different tone. So I'm telling ChatGPT to rewrite this in an enthusiastic tone geared towards a youthful audience, and that we have a laser tag business. So this is as easy as it is to get something that's closer to your tone. Another way we can do that is so I tell it to look at our website and rewrite this in the voice that it finds on that website. So it searches the web. Now, I don't know if we would say we're stoked. So here's an example of, sometimes it might require additional tweaking. But yeah, if anybody has an interesting output that they're getting from this, feel free to post in the chat or pop on your microphone.
So Tyler, in that instance, could this be an example of the chatbot learning from the previous aspects of the conversation? So it's taking your laser tag information and then still applying it to the most recent response as well.
Very good catch. Yeah, thank you, Caitlin. So, as Caitlin saw, we just got an answer that was youthful and exciting, and based around a laser tag business. And then we did a hard left turn and told it to talk like Edge. And so that's one of the pitfalls of not dividing up your work and being organized. So yeah, I should follow my own advice there. But yeah, that's a good example. Okay, if nobody has any thoughts there. Now this is a fun one. I was hoping to end off our workshop on a fun one. We're a little early, but what I wanted to show, which I showed through the presentation, if you noticed, we had some images. These were generated images, and I left the prompts at the bottom. And I just kind of wanted to tease this idea, which we can now put to work, of how easy it is to generate images for those who haven't tried. And so really all you need to do to generate your own images is just ask ChatGPT straight out, can you please generate an image of a business person and a robot assistant working happily in a blacksmith shop? So that's all I typed, and this is what I got in response. So I think to kind of finish off, we could say, please generate an image of idea here, put in your idea, and we can see what people came up with. If they'd like to post it or just describe it. So ChatGPT is one of the best places to generate images currently. Google is also very impressive, their Gemini platform, mainly because their image generators are linked to these chatbots, which means they have a ton of context to work from. And so it's going to be interesting in the next year or so to see not only the quality of images that can be produced, but also how confusing it's going to be when we can't tell what's real and what's not. But there may be applications for your business here, whether it be in advertising or, building graphics, things like that. So I just thought I'd demonstrate that because if anything, it's just fun. If it gets you using ChatGPT a little bit more and spurs some ideas, I think it could be helpful.
Okay, thanks, Tyler, for your work in this and all the information. So I think do you have any more, or are we gonna wrap it up?
No, I think we'll wrap it up here.
Yeah. So
Try
again,
to keep it simple today.
you betcha. Thanks, Tyler. Give him a round of applause. So for the people that are still on here, thank you for participating. This is a big area. We try to compress it into like a little bit over an hour, so it's hard. But hopefully this gave you a little bit of a taste of what's possible and how it can apply to your business. Of course, it's going to be different for everybody. And yeah, I hope to see you at a future event. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Bye for now.